Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at S-Class Argus, who is going to be the next promo character coming to the game. Visually, he kind of looks like an old school gangster. Funnily enough, we did talk about this on my stream, and wouldn't it be cool to get some sort of gangster looking characters coming to the game? The ideas we had on my stream are like Mirabelle and Romanov being two gangster characters in terms of how they visually would look. But we've got Argus here. This is the first time we've ever had an Argus in the game. He is looking very purple. So yeah, I'm not sure about this one. In terms of the gangster gear I had in mind would be kind of just like those black pinstripe suits and then like a waistcoat on the inside with maybe like some pistols hanging down or something. But he's got that Tommy gun, you know. He's got the very well-known machine gun that we know about. So on the left-hand side, we can see what he looks like with his face, and he kind of does look like a couple of characters we have in the game already. He kind of looks like Diego to a certain extent. He also kind of looks like David. Kind of reminds me of those two characters. As an S-Class character with 30 veteran rings, he has 3,932 attack, 3,641 defense, and 4,779 HP. He is a tough character, of course, holding that machine gun, and he is considered a damage dealer. Now we'll check out his rush, and it is called Cleansing Blood. It is a 76 AP cost rush. Up to 2 enemies get stunned and dazed for 2 turns while battling on the attack team. 1 enemy gets 100% heal reduction and 10,000 bleed for 1 turn. So lots of control. Potentially you can get this off first turn in the right teams. For instance, if you've got MJ and you have this character can go off first turn and get a first turn 2-turn stun and 2-turn daze. But the attack team bonus that he gets on top, 100% heal reduction, is just basically to guarantee that the bleed will come through. But 10,000 bleed is going to take out the majority of defense team characters. There aren't going to be too many characters that are going to be able to survive 10,000 bleed. Pretty much just someone like S-Class Callie. But it will bypass her bonus HP, so it's going to do a massive dent into her normal HP if she has got a lot. But obviously she has got a weapon where she heals all the way back up, so she has got a little bit of a counter in there for herself. Okay, so we are on turn 2, and I'm just going to command rush Argus. I'm going to take out Pete, or at least rush Pete. He will do stun, he'll do daze, heal reduction for 1 turn, and that 10,000 bleed as you saw. Only Pete will get the 10,000 bleed, but another character will get dazed and stunned, and that was going to be Kapoor in the top left. Now you can take a character that has pain spread on their weapon, the alert weapon, and I have got that on Secretary Guo right now. It's going to be completely RNG which debuff it spreads, but it could potentially spread the 10,000 bleed. We're going to just have an attempt and see who it passed it to. It passed the stun to Glenn by the looks of things. You'll see a 1-turn stun come around, but it is kind of nice because all 4 of those buffs are okay. You probably would want the 10,000 bleed more than anything. Now what we'll do is we'll just play out the rounds, and you'll see Pete won't do anything. He'll gain some AP because of Guo's active. Pete won't do anything though, and then we'll have him die instantly. 10,000 damage, that's a lot of damage, and he is decapped as well because I have him in a team with my Wang Fa as a leader. So you can definitely combo this with certain attack team leaders or other rushes and actives and get some nice decaps in with crosshairs. So very high potential here, and like I said, and we will show this later in the video, you can get this off turn 1 pretty easily now with MJ being in the game because of his first turn active giving 50% AP to someone else. You just attack with Argus, you command him, and then you just do MJ's active, and then guess what? Argus can just rush instantly, and that's a first turn 10,000 bleed damage. Lots of characters are going to be in a lot of trouble after that. Also add to the fact that he's going to daze 2 characters in that situation as well, and the amount of characters that have got first turn actives now, that is going to be extremely beneficial. Now we'll go across to the active, and it is a very interesting one. Remove all positive effects, bleed, and AP up. Initial cooldown of turn 5, cooldown of 0, which means it can be done every single turn, and number of uses 5. So obviously it seems like it's got quite a slow initial cooldown, but once you get to use it, You can use it every single turn. Remove all positive effects from up to 3 enemies. Those enemies get 2000 bleed for 2 turns. This character gets 40% max AP. So once he gets his active going, once he gets to that point, the defense team will have a lot less positive effects rolling around because he's going to be able to just pop this off every turn. He should focus effectively the characters that already have positive effects because it's going to remove them, and they get a bleed damage on top. Now, I kind of find this interesting. We had kind of a similar situation with S-Class Governor where basically if the fight gets extended, then it becomes easier for you because of this active skill. And I kind of see this one being like once you start to auto teams, if it gets to the point where he's using his active, it just becomes even easier. Okay, so we have made it to turn 5, and as you can see, they've all got an 80% defense buff. This is from Kapoor. Obviously, having an 80% defense buff is going to make it very difficult to break through it with percentage damage. I can select one of these characters. I can use the active. It removes the defense from them. As you can see, that sort of like snowy animation is the removal, the cleanse. And then we've got 3 characters with 2000 bleed. This is just a little bonus, the 2000 bleed. I think the cleanse is the most important thing here. It isn't going to proc anything special, like you're not going to have trauma proc because that happens with negative effects, not positive effects. And you are going to see these 3 characters take basically 3k damage on the next turn. Sorry, 2k damage each on the next turn. And this will just add up to onto other damage you've got going. So for instance, if you have other bleed in there, it will just add to the bleed, add to the burn, and so on. So that's Argus's active, and that's how it works with pain spread as well. I think it is a little bit too slow, honestly. I would have liked to see this at turn 4. So if, like, in terms of natural attack rush sequence, it would just be attack, attack, rush, and then your actives will be available if you so wished. That would be kind of cool. Because at that point you could decide, I'm going to start removing their positive effects for like heal over time and stuff like this, and you're going to open up the windows for the rest of your attack team, or you're just going to just hit auto and he's still going to be doing damage with 2000 bleed to 3 characters, which is 6000 bleed a turn, which isn't too bad. Now we will move on to the specialist skill, but you have seen it already. Bloodthirst. Whenever this character attacks a character suffering from bleeding, the damage of that bleeding effect is doubled. Target can be doubled once per turn. If this character performs a critical hit on an enemy, the enemy gets crosshairs for 3 turns. You guys know about this specialist skill. It's the same one that Dayu has. It is a very good one, but a lot of people do kind of ignore the second part of it because it's hard to build a character to have both crit and defensive stats. Like it's very hard to build a character like that. It's not like 2 of the things here need crit. It's only the second part. So you're only going to be building it for the crosshairs on the second part, which isn't a terrible idea, but it just means that it's going to make the character weaker defensively. And because he's got no offensive stats, like he's not got any percentage damage, he doesn't need any attack at all. So his 3900 plus attack stat is kind of wasted, and you'd want to buff up his defense and HP as much as possible just to make it so he can survive for as long as possible. Now with the lacerate side of the specialist skill, it would mean that I could double any bleed that I have in any character. As you can see, there's no bleed right now, but I can do the rush of Argus, and then I could command him to lacerate, and it should be a 20,000 bleed that you see come around on Pete. There we go, 20,000 bleed damage for 1 turn. He has 100% heal reduction as well, so even if he was to survive this turn, I mean 20,000 bleed damage is a lot, but he wouldn't be able to get healed. He would have to be cleansed. That's the only way you could survive this. That bleed would have to be cleansed. It can be done with a cleanse weapon, or it could be done with a cleanse like active or rush. That's pretty much it. So I would say this is quite a nice specialist skill, but he can't utilize it himself very well because his rush bleed damage is only 1 turn. By the time it comes back to him again, his bleed would have run out on the character that he did it on. He would either have to have a second lacerator to utilize it on Argus's rush, or command him like I showed in the little clip before. However, because he is a bleed character with his active and his rush, Lacerator is just kind of nice to have in the mix because that's the sort of teams you would use him on, and that's where you're going to be able to utilize this the best. The fact that he brings crosshairs as well is a nice little bonus because one of the things that bleed teams do have issues with is revives, and this will make that less of an issue. So we've seen all the main parts of his kit. Now we'll go across to his weapon. Argus's Violent Tommy Gun It has 30% attack. Unfortunately, I would definitely swap that out for defense or HP. A medium bonus to AP when attacking, and in this third slot, when being attacked, a 25% chance to gain 100% AP. We didn't see this happen, obviously, because other characters were getting focused, but if I came up against certain teams with fast characters on them, Argus definitely would be the one getting focused because he's a tough character and the AI would most likely focus a tough character over, let's say, a strong character like they were doing in their teams that I showed you. It's really disappointing again to see 30% attack on another bleed character, honestly. We had the same situation with Raulito and it's just a wasted upgrade slot. I have unfortunately seen some maxed out Raulitos with still having percentage attack as well, so some people just don't realize it's absolutely useless on the character. And when they finally do, they question probably why the hell was it on there in the first place. It's almost like an ambush for people who don't understand. But we'll check out how the weapon effect in the third slot works. So it's pretty straightforward. I will just hit the defend here, so you'll just see me potentially just randomly get 100% AP from one of these basic attacks, and I think it happened off the first one. So I can just hit them up with the rush. They'll tap me again. I can just keep defending just to show you it pop again. There we go, I get it again. And this can just randomly happen. It doesn't matter how much damage you take, as long as you take damage. I think if you've got a Guardian Shield, it won't happen. So you see I got it instantly this time. And now they're all controlled. So we're going to have to wait it out. And we're going to get it again. This is actually pretty fun. And we're going to see. Can we take the entire team out? Oh, he's going to rush. Damn. How long is this one going to take? There we go. 2 goes. 100% AP. Get the last rush in. And that's going to be 10,000 damage on top. So the third slot on this weapon for sure is very interesting. If you can get it so Argus is the one getting focused by in a defense team, you're going to be doing so much bleed damage. And it doesn't like use an extra turn. It isn't like getting commanded. He can just use his rush and in the next turn he can be attacked again and then use his rush again. It can just continuously do it potentially. So this could be great. If it just randomly happens, it's a big bonus. 10,000 damage, like I said, on that rush on an attack team is going to be very, very hard to counter. So Argus obviously has the potential to do a lot of single target bleed damage. He also does have the potential of doing first turn control. Against Jesus teams, for instance, you could potentially stun, daze, and 10,000 bleed Jesus first turn, which is going to be very, very good. Stop him getting that active off. He can't have all the resists, you know, one of those two should land out of stun and daze, and that bleed should also take him out. He also can potentially be used with another lacerator to get that first turn rush off to take down the likes of S-Class Kali, who has huge amounts of base HP. I did say I was going to show you the potential of his first turn rush, so I'll just give it a little spin. So you do obviously need MJ to get this to work. You just do the same sequence that I showed before, where you command Argus first turn, he'll get his rush. You can do it onto S-Class Kali. In this case, it's the same Kali that I have from my build. She has 16,500 HP in this team. She gets a 10,000 bleed. I can double it up to 20k, and we can just see the sparks fly. She should just get taken out instantly, and that is the potential of this character on the first turn. It is also a guaranteed decap, like I said before, if you roll with the right leader. I'm sure there's going to be some crazy things people come up with in terms of the mechanics of this character and how to utilize him best. I think managing to get him being attacked is the most important thing. You've got to try and work out what makes him the most, obvious target for every single AI team you come up against. I guess the best way to do that would be making your entire attack team tough and then seeing who gets attacked the most and try and make it Argus somehow. Maybe you have to buff up one of his stats to get him to be the one that gets attacked. It's hard to know. But if he gets that rush every single turn, or like for at least 2 turns in a row, then it's going to be beautiful. But otherwise, I see it being quite slow to be able to take out an entire team. And because that bleed only works on an attack team, you're generally going to want speed there. That's the biggest issue. You're generally going to want speed. And I don't think Argus is really going to add speed, but he is going to be able to counter one character for sure, even potentially on the first turn like I showed. But do give me your thoughts on Argus as an S-Class character. What do you think of the get-up? Do you like the visuals? What part of his kit does stand out the most to you? Obviously for me, I would say it's probably that 10,000 bleeds and the weapon. Those two things, if they get rolling, that's where the danger's going to come in. He could be a lot of fun. There are obviously other game modes where he can be used. He'll be great in Faction Assault. If we ever get a sort of refresh to how Faction Assault works and it becomes something that's done on a regular basis, Argus would definitely be used there by people who get him. But that is the end of my video, guys. Please leave your comments down below. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.